Welcome back to geometry. So let's take a look at some examples of applying the triangle sum theorem. So here we have triangle ABC. Let's pick some favorite numbers. Let's say A is 23 degrees, C is 67 degrees, and we want to know what the measure of angle B is. Well, the good news is we know because of the triangle sum theorem, we can just add all three angles together and solve. So let's go ahead and work through that. The measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C all has to equal 180 degrees. Why do we know that? We know that because of the triangle sum theorem. And yes, I'm abbreviating that by drawing a triangle and writing the word sum next to it. Totally okay to abbreviate things in your notes. So let's make some substitutions then. We know that the measure of angle A is 23, and we know that the measure of angle C is 67. So let's go ahead and write those in. Instead of the measure of angle A, I want to write in the 23 degrees. And instead of writing in the measure of angle C, I'm going to write in the 67. And so we can actually mathematically work through to find the measure of angle B using our addition. So first things first, 23 plus 67, if my mental math is right, 23 plus 67 is 90. And so we have the measure of angle B plus 90 is equal to the 180. So we're able to solve for the measure of angle B by subtracting the 90 on both sides. So our measure of angle B is equal to 90 degrees. And so we know that B is 90 as a result. Obviously, this triangle is not drawn to scale, but that is more than okay. So let's go and take a look at a second example here. In this second example, we're going to go ahead and have the letters A, B, and X. And we're just going to go ahead and pick some favorite numbers again. Let's say A is a measure of 50, B is a measure of, let's go ahead and go 45. And let's solve for the measure of X. Well, we already know how to set this up because of the triangle sum theorem. 50 plus 45 plus X is equal to 180. So we just need to add, combine our like terms, and then subtract to find the value of X. So 50 plus 45 is 95, plus X is equal to 180. Subtract the 95 on both sides. Our value of X then has to be equal to a measure of 85 degrees. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one last example. So in this last example, we're going to look at a different type of triangle. We're going to look at a right triangle. So a right triangle is a triangle that has one angle equal to 90 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, just as a reminder, between our different types of triangles, if you had a triangle that was, no sticky keys, I politely decline. If you had a triangle that had two sides that were the same length, remember the tick marks mean congruent, and congruent means the same. If you had two sides that were the same, that is an isosceles. And an isosceles triangle has two sides that are the same and two angles that are the same. So both of them are values of X in this case. Just wanted to give you that reminder. Let's go ahead and rewind, because in this example, we are looking at a right triangle. In this right triangle, we have our value of X, and then we have this angle measure down here, and I'm going to go ahead and toss in a 64 degrees here, because who doesn't love 64 degrees? So now we need to solve for the value of X. There's two ways you can do this. By the triangle sum theorem, we know that all three angle measures add up to 180. So X plus 64 plus the 90. So that is one equation we can use to solve for the value of x. And we know that because of the triangle sum theorem. But there's another thing that we know is true here, and that's the fact that it's a right triangle. Because it's a right triangle, and because we already know the triangle sum theorem, what we can apply that to then is the fact that x in our 64 has to add up to 90. Because we already have a 90 degrees here, we know that the rest of it has to add up to 90. So you can go ahead and take an extra step and just say x plus 64 has to equal to 90. And that's the other true statement, and that's the other equation you can start with. If you started with the first one in pink, more than okay. Just subtract your 90s on both sides, and you get to the same spot. And regardless of where you start, you'll still get to the correct value of x. By subtracting the 64 on both sides, our value of x ends up being equal to 26. I hope that helps with the triangle sum theorem. Thank you guys. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.